Hello everyone. Today we're going to be filling out the application forms for the 2020 NAHTF application. To access the application forms, click on Application Forms at the top of the page on the timeline. When you're ready to start populating each of the application forms, click on the form you want to enter in first. Note that questions with an asterisk indicate that that question is a required field. Begin filling out your application form, doing your best to adhere to the standards set about in the guidelines. Once you're done filling out one of the forms, you'll be able to mark it as complete and move on. If you'd like to just save changes and come back to it later, you can always click on Save. In order to save and move on to the next form, you can hit Save and Continue. Please note that you're not going to be able to mark a form as complete until all the required fields are populated. Clicking Save and Continue brings you to the next application form, which allows you to fill in more details. Answer the questions accordingly, and be sure to populate all required fields. There are specific character limits set about in some of the narrative responses, so please ensure that you're keeping the characters to the limit set out in the question. Scroll through the application and ensure you're filling out all the fields correctly. For example, in the service area field, I can choose one legislative district, or I can choose multiple by hitting Control and clicking on whichever districts apply. Same thing here for the different cities and counties. If more than one apply, hold down Control and click to indicate which cities and counties are applicable. Continue scrolling through and ensuring that all required fields are populated. Again, once all required fields are populated, you'll be able to mark this form as completed. If not, just go ahead and save your changes, lock those changes in, and click Save and Continue. At any point, you'll be able to jump to any of the other application forms by going back to the application form section in the timeline, and you'll be able to go and click on any one of the forms indicated here. Note that since I started and saved some information within these forms, the status updated from new to in progress. Once forms are completed and marked as complete, they'll show up here as complete. Eventual successful submission is dependent upon the status of all forms shown as complete. In Part 3, you're able to indicate the type of program you're applying for, either housing or technical assistance. Please note that if you choose either housing or technical assistance, then specific questions populate pertaining to each program. So when I click on housing, I have housing specific questions. If I choose to apply for a technical assistance program, I have technical assistance specific questions. Go through and ensure that you're completing all questions to the best of your ability and not forgetting to complete required fields. There are attachment fields. Some may be required, and if in that case, you would not be able to mark this as complete unless you've attached documents in the required attachment fields. Any information that's populated again can be saved and you can come back to it, or it can be marked as completed once all required fields have been marked as completed. The last part of the application forms indicates a certifying official and an electronic signature. So populate the name of the certifying official here. And then in order to move forward, complete the digital signature section, typing in the first and last name of the certifying official, checking the box, and putting in the date signed. Once all the required fields are complete, you'll be able to mark it as complete, or you can just click on Save and come back to it later. The last application form is the DED contact information form. It's important to note that although there's no input that needs to happen here, you still have to review this and mark the section as complete. At any point, you can go to the application forms section and view the status of your application forms. Remember, you will not be able to successfully submit your application unless all forms have a status of complete. At any point, each individual form can be printed with your answers in them by navigating to the print section and clicking on the print icon. Once all forms are complete, you can click Save and Continue or move on to the next section within your timeline.